Our bodies are our most cherished assets, especially for us women. Join me in this journey of learning, caring, and loving our bodies in Your Body to Belong. Hi, welcome to another episode of YBTL, Your Body to Belong, and I'm your host, Alida. So oftentimes we tend to have goals that we've set for ourselves, and one of the most common goals happens to be weight loss or fitness, right? Either at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of every month. But one thing is for certain, keeping up with achieving that goal and actually reaching it are almost impossible, especially for us women. And why is that? So our guest today is definitely going to help us understand and answer some of these questions. Caroline Magola, welcome to YBTL.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here today.
I'm so glad that we have finally managed to make this work because your schedule has been out of this world. We've been trying for the longest time to make this happen. So I'm glad that finally you get to answer our questions as to why our summer body goals are just not getting to where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So first things first. As women, why is it that we struggle? And I know there's probably various reasons as to why we struggle with weight loss or just keeping that momentum of, being fit. Why would you say, some of these challenges present themselves?
Thank you so much for having me here today. It's an honor to be able to share some of my ideas and hopefully those ideas may help or may, apply to somebody else.
Certainly.
Yeah, I think the first thing that we need to understand is that as women, or as a people, but particularly as women, we're all different. And our makeup is based first on genetics, right? And then on our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And those two things will often determine how effective we will be in reaching our goals, attaining our goals. Whether it's losing weight or getting fitter or gaining weight, we have to understand that there are certain things that we can control and other things that we cannot control.
Yeah.
So I think when we're not able to reach those goals, it's because we sometimes are trying to control things we can't control. And the things that we can control, we're not too clear about.
So what then would be the things that, for example, we can control versus the things that we cannot control?
Okay, in terms of what we can control, I feel like we can control our attitude, our thinking, right? I can't adjust the fact that I need to work from 5 a.m.
Yeah.
It's what I've chosen to do. I can't make that a reason why I'm not going to achieve certain goals. But I can decide that because I'm doing this, then at the end of the day, I'll have to adjust it so I can do that.
Yeah.
I can decide that I'm not going to have cake. I'll have a banana instead, for the most part.
Okay.
So those are the kind of things that I can control. So at the basis of all of this is, of course, discipline, right? Which is a hard thing. And I understand that because you often want a quick remedy, instant gratification.
5 minutes in the microwave and it's done.
I'm feeling bad. I'm just have a Coke. It's fine. I'm having a bad day. I deserve it. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying that our thinking, for the most part, determines whether or not we'll attain those goals. Our thinking is what we can control. Our thinking in terms of decisions that we make and our attitudes towards what we have to do.
So pretty much you're saying we have to be at a position where it's not just, okay, I'm setting this goal for myself, but I'm being intentional with everything that I'm doing in order for me to achieve it, to actually get the work done.
Absolutely. I think though that it's a journey. Even being intentional is a journey. And you often have to remind yourself, I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I don't believe in that. I think for me, for the person that I am, it doesn't work. I feel like, though, I believe in a reset button. And I feel like I have a long-term plan. First, say for the year, I have a long-term plan. I'll break that down to 12 months. Yeah. Then into, every quarter, like every 3 months, how am I doing? And then every month, and then every week, right? And every week, I allow myself the reset button. So that every Monday, I'll start with an intention. I'll be like, this week, I want to, be a bit more of A, B, C, D, and less of X, Y, Z, right? And in order for me to try to do that effectively, I need something to remind myself every day. So if I've got something like a sticky note on my mirror to remind me every time I see it, just a reminder. You want a summer body, so you need to make sure you stay away from sugar. So for me, that would be long term. Okay. So I feel like goals like that are really huge. And I feel like when a goal is huge like that, you've got to break it down to make it less intimidating. So for example, my long-term goal is summer body. And that can mean anything for anybody. Yeah. It can mean being fit, it can mean being bigger, it can be being smaller, it can be whatever it is. It can be just feeling healthier or happier. Yeah. So for me, that's the year's goal. So I'm gonna break it down. What do I need to do to get that? It means every morning, have you drank your water? Yeah. Have you had a glass of lemon water? Do you know what you're having for lunch? Are you working out tomorrow? That sort of thing. So maybe on a Sunday evening, I'll take out, and this is just something that I do, in my cupboard, I'll lay out, because I'm very particular about my fitness clothes, my gym clothes, if you know me. Yes, we know. So I'll be like, okay, on Monday, I'm going to do orange, and then I'll get my orange trains out and just coordinate all that. And that excites me. So I'll set up my weeks working things out with the intention that I will work out for myself that week. Yeah. And so when I see them there in the specific shelf, I know that, okay, that's what it's about. Yeah. Why are they like that? That's what it's about. If I want to eat better, then I'll maybe have a sticky note, I'll be like, water, green juice, or fruits, or more vegetables. Every time I see it, I might not necessarily read it, but I know what it's about. Yeah. I may put it on the fridge. So it's just a little thing to remind me every now and again, right? So that's a daily reminder, right? And it's intentional. But it can't be that easy, because we know anything that's that easy is probably just gonna fizzle. So I think you have to make that intention and discuss it yourself, that I really want this goal. Therefore, I've taken these steps and I have to work towards reaching them. Every Monday, so Monday to Sunday, let's work and see how it goes. Sunday's a reset day. How have we done? Can we do better? What can we do to make it better? So it's a journey. And I think the easier you make it for yourself and the simpler you make it for yourself, the better the chance you have to achieve it. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that applies to both food and fitness. Yeah. And I was just about to say that aside from that, what you're sharing right now just sounds like something you could apply in every other area of your life. But obviously we are talking about fitness and food, what works and what doesn't. So for example, for the things that I take it, this is obviously for the things that we have control over. Now, what about the other end of the stick, for things that we don't have control over? Okay. In as far as, trying to reach our fitness goals. Okay. I think that it's extremely important to understand that, again, we're different. Yeah. So in terms of your fitness goal, you want to work towards being the best version of yourself. And the reason I say that is because I can work out 1,000,000 times a day. That's not going to guarantee me a perfect, whatever perfect means, body in my head. Yeah. I've got in my head what I think perfect is. Yeah. Because genetically, I'm not wired that way. Genetically, I cannot have a certain kind of shape. So those are things I can't control. So I have to accept that. Yeah. And tell myself that, let me do the best I can for what I have. I cannot be any taller than I am, and I can't be short. So let me accept that and then do the best I can for what my genetics have given to me. Have given to you. Right?
I like that you highlighted that our genetic makeup, I think that's one of the first things that we should always take note of before even pursuing our fitness goals.
Yeah.
Because then it will help you determine where exactly you would fall if there is such thing called a fitness spectrum. I say this because as a person who has been small most of my life and wanting to have a booty and curves, because that's what the internet portrays as, you know, attractive, but also being an African. Most African women are curvy. And so it has also taken my own personal journey and being intentional about, okay, I want to achieve this. So what do I need to do in order to achieve this? And I came to understand that we have different types of bodies. There's the there's the endofirm and endo. Please just highlight a little bit of that, because I think we need to know.
So there are very different kinds of bodies.
Yes.
All right. And okay, if we go back to the genetics, okay, everybody's DNA is different, and that's going to determine what you're going to look like. To a fair degree. Outside of that, it's now what you're doing as a person, intentional living, and then you've got obviously your hormones. That's also genetic, right? Now, you can, like, personally, you can actually look at somebody and say, I can look at somebody and think, okay, she is higher she has very low progesterone and high estrogen. Or this is her sort of her hormonal patterns, because to a certain extent they shape your body, right? So you often find people saying, I work out and I eat right, but my body is not adjusting anyway. You know, I'm top heavy, I've got broad shoulders, I've got no hips, or my hips are so wide, my upper body is so small, whatever the case may be. Those are, again, things that are going to be part of your genetics, but the way we eat and our lifestyle can exacerbate the impact of some of the hormones in our bodies in terms of how we are going to now structure or pick up a structure for our body, right? So if you find that you are having a lot more insulin in your food, or if you find that you're eating in such a way that your insulin goes up, the tendency is for your body to be, you tend to gain weight around your waist,
your midriff,
and your chest. And when I chest, I'm talking about breasts, but just around here. Because that's what happens. That's where you retain most of the fat cells, because you find that the cortisol, which is one of the hormones that work for you or against you, will tend to sit around. You know, so you have like cortisol, and you have like a couple of hormones that will be against you and for you. They'll help you to lose weight and build muscle, but they'll also help you to retain fat in your fat cells. Yes, so it's really important to understand your body as you're going forward, what kind of body you have. But with that said, like I said earlier, it's so important to try to follow a simplicity pattern to achieve a certain goal. Because what I've noticed is when you start telling people about their body types, if you're top heavy, or if you're this or you're that, and your hormones are like this, they'll look at you and think, I have no hope. Because what that translates to them is like, this is so scientific. I just want something simple to help me get to this goal, you know? And what you have to do is just break it down to say, you'd rather avoid this, and you'd rather avoid that. And the kind of workout you want to do is like this, as opposed to that one. If you want to lose weight, or if you want to gain weight, these are the kinds of exercises you want to be doing, and this is the kind of food you want to be eating. That makes it a lot easier for people. If people do want to go into a deeper kind of endocrinology and understand what their blood is doing, what are their hormones doing, and what is causing them to retain or to not retain fat, or not able to convert, into or build muscle, it's possible. You literally can do blood tests and find out exactly what your hormones are doing.
Yeah.
And then get guidance from there. But even then, that's guidance. That's guidance that you're going to now layer above the fact that you're genetically built in a certain way, and then your lifestyle is also demanding in this way, and your ability to stick to certain goals and to stick to certain eating habits or patterns that have been prescribed. So it is very complex.
It definitely sounds like it's a complicated situation, but listening to what you're saying, you're pretty much saying it might sound complex, it might appear intimidating, but once it's done, it's done. You have that knowledge to go with you, and then you get to decide what you're going to do with that knowledge.
I think so. I think that if you break it down and you simplify it,
so maybe in terms of, for example, let's just make it practical, less theory.
Yeah.
I've walked into your office. We've spoken.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, fine. Let's do this. My goal is to build muscle, for example. My goal is to build muscle. I want to be more fit. But I don't like, I think generally I just don't like cardio. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Or maybe because I have previous encounters with instructors and coaches who have mentioned that, no, if you do cardio, you're burning more fat and you won't be able to gain the muscle. But anyway, that aside, I'm here, your client. What would the general procedure for you be to help me attain my goal?
I think generally I always say to people that it's important to understand that for you to, if getting into a fitness and health journey, fitness journey,
yes,
primarily should be about your internal health, right? You want to be healthier inside. Right, that should be your primary goal.
Okay.
Right, and if you're able to understand that that's my primary goal, number one, you shift your mental thinking from I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, or I need muscle, and you shift your thinking. In shifting that thinking, you impact on your body's mechanisms of releasing certain hormones. Those hormones will impact your body either adversely or otherwise. Right? So if you come in and say, I need to gain muscle, I just need to gain muscle, I just do not want to be flabby, I want to be firm, I want to have muscle, and I don't want to be skinny. Okay, fine. But number one, you want to get healthy. So how are you eating? What is it that you're eating? That's number one, because there's no point trying to build muscle and then being sick and then you can't cope and your body just gives in. So number one, let's try to get you into a healthy position. What are you eating? How are you eating? So we'll look at your general, just basic how you're eating, and then from there we look at the kind of exercise that you want to do. And cardio is very good for you. It is good for you. At the same time, depending on the goal you want, you have to balance it out. Right? So for somebody that doesn't want to lose weight and wants to build muscle, I would say do a certain amount of cardio because it's good for your heart and it'll also allow you to work out for a longer period without losing your breath. But you also want to do resistance training because what that does is it works muscle more. And then you build so that as you're eating, whatever it is that you're eating, if you do a lot of cardio and burn more cardio calories, you will lose you will burn fat. And if you do resistance training, you want to convert the fat into muscle. So you do want to do a bit more resistance training for building muscle. And then you also want to eat to support that. You want to increase.
I was about to get into the calories.
Look, ultimately, whatever body type you want.
Yeah.
If you want to gain weight or if you want to lose weight, it starts with your eating. Your fitness and your activity is probably
secondary to that.
20% of your goal.
Interesting.
So to gain weight, you do want to have a good, complex carbs and a good amount of protein for recovery when you're doing your resistance training, and just complex carbs to help you to build. And if you're trying to shed the weight, you want to minimize on your carbohydrates. Even though the complex carbs, you want to minimize because, of course, they convert into sugars ultimately. So you want to minimize on those and increase more on your sort of your fibers and your proteins. Not that you shouldn't have carbohydrates. You do need carbohydrates. You do need all the food groups in good amounts. Yeah. So it, in a nutshell, I think that your goal will determine whoever's going to prescribe or suggest how you eat or work out will depend on what you want to achieve. Yeah. So we always start with, what do you want? What is it that you're trying to do or look like? Then you say, okay, but exactly how are you eating? Can we make internal health a priority? Can you make being healthy and eating healthy a priority? And then from there say, while I'm being healthy, I want to look like this. Therefore, what can I eat and what exercise can I do to try to get to that goal? The last thing you want to do is say, I saw this lady, she looks like this and I want that.
I want a Beyonce body. Okay? That's what we are aiming for.
Then you need to be Beyonce's mom and dad's child.
Right? They need to share us some of those dreams.
Yeah.
When we return in part 2, Caroline and I discuss other factors that contribute to our fitness and nutrition, such as hormones, metabolism, and mental health. This episode was supported by Bio Oil Malawi and Pharma Chemi Limited, promoting women's body confidence by helping women love the skin that they're in.